Past the Wire War Room Office Studio all rolled up in one with a new Past the Wire video for all of you. Thank you for joining in. Hope everybody enjoys this one. What we're going to do today is run down the Kentucky Derby contenders and pretenders as I see it. And you know, everybody's talking this year about how it's very wide open, and that may turn out to be true. But I don't have as many contenders on my list as I normally do at this early juncture. We're a week away, which is pretty close. So it's not like we're a long way out. We pretty much know who the field is, except for a possible late defection and addition here or there. But we pretty much know everything except the weather, for sure anyway, and the post positions. So we have a general idea of what we're looking at come the first Saturday in May, which is a week from today. So with that said, we're going to run down, who I think are the live horses, who I think are the pretenders, and hopefully will help shed some light on this Derby picture for you. It's always an exciting time of year. We're coming up on the two best pools to bet in racing, with maybe the exception of the Breeders' Cup here in the U.S. anyway. Oaks Day and Derby Day are just phenomenal pool days and are loaded with phenomenal wagering opportunities. There are going to be, great chances to do some damage, and that is our intention. Today we're just going to do, like I said, a little rundown of the Derby horses. We do have the Past the Wire webinar coming up on Thursday, the Thursday before the Oaks, 6:30 to 8:30 Eastern Time. There'll be a replay available on the website. You could go to the website and join up for that. We don't have as many spots as we'd like to have, but we do have plenty left. So sign up early. Make sure you're there if you're interested in joining us. We're going to do the Derby, the late pick four, may touch base on the Oaks, but we'll definitely have analysis, selections, and talk about ticket structure, what are some opportunities and what are some ways to go in that late pick four and in the Kentucky Derby. Exciting time of year, and I get excited just sitting in this room talking about it. I got Kentucky Derby dirt from two Derby winners, one Triple Crown winner on the wall behind me. Just that whole feel of this time of the year is just really exciting. Hope you all feel the same. If you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe so you get these videos. We're going to be putting a lot more of them out. After the Derby, we're going to have a regular schedule with videos coming out. We're going to have some that are exclusively for our track and trip members, some that are available to everybody. But if you want to catch them, subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to our emails. We're going to have regular emails going out with all this new content that we've got going on. We've got on the website interviews with all the trainers well, not all, but a couple of the good trainers with live Derby horses in there. We've got Shug, we've got Mark Cassie, we've got just a whole bunch of great stuff that you could check out and get yourself or find yourself a little bit of an edge or a little bit of that information that you were looking for. Thank you to our friends at DRF Formulator, my past performance of choice, for helping us bring this video to you. Always a big shout out to them. Formulator, best thing I like about it is entering my own trip notes, watching replays, entering notes, having what I want in there. Invaluable tool for me. But enough of that. Let's get to what everybody's wondering about and thinking about. There's no reason to lock into your Derby horse right now. You got a week to go, and you're not going to get paid any more money by deciding who you like today. I see people all over social media declaring this horse the winner, that horse the loser. That's great, but me, I'm a late bettor, and I like to come to that party as late as possible. Have as much information as possible, and kind of just, make my move at the last possible second. That said, it's hard not to form opinions and ideas and, at least have a mindset of what you're going to do, how you're going to approach, and how you're going to attack, especially this close to the race. So that said, I'm going to go through the horses that are in there, or that at least we believe are in there, and give you just a quick thought and I'll label them what I think is a contender and what I think is a pretender. And to be clear, a contender is a horse that I think can win the race. A pretender is a horse that I don't really think is gonna win, but that doesn't mean they're a horse that I don't think can run second or third or hit the board. So please don't look at it that way. I'm talking about the win slot, first. Contender is a horse I think can finish first. Pretender is a horse maybe finish second, maybe finish 20th. I don't know, but I don't like him in win hole. Let's start with the points leader, Tacitus. Tacitus, I've been voting high on the NTRA poll since early in the year. Uh, he checks all the boxes in my opinion. He showed good speed, fast time out. Was very close to a 45 half. Broke his maiden next time out. Going a mile at Aqueduct. Comeback win the Tampa Bay Derby off a layoff. First time as a 3-year-old. First time with Lasix. Come up the rail like a brave animal over the Tampa track, which is very tough to win over off a layoff if you haven't run there before and if you're not training there. He was training at Payson Park, which is a deep surface that I like, and that showed in that Tampa Bay Derby win. Wood Memorial, total disaster going into the first turn. I don't think that people gave that enough credence. A lot of horses would not have won that race. He won despite the trouble, despite getting slammed around, dead game down the lane, checks all the boxes, and I think gives Bill Mott an excellent chance of getting that elusive first Kentucky Derby win for Juddmonte Farms and for himself. Vacoma, so obviously I think he's a contender. Vacoma, nice win in the Bluegrass. He hasn't really run bad in 4 starts. George Weaver, tremendous amount of respect for him as a horseman, but I think he's going to need to be a really good horseman because Vacoma coming down the lane in the Bluegrass was getting out, was wheeling that right front, I believe. That's not something I like to see going in the Derby. And yes, I hear all the talk, well, that's what he does, that's his way of going, he's got a funny action. That's great. I just think it's going to be very tough for him to win the Kentucky Derby that way. And usually that, to me, means that, something could be bothering him, something could be a little off. If anybody can fix it and figure it out, probably George Weaver. Like I said, excellent horseman. World of respect for him. But I'm going to call Vacoma a pretender off that action. And, having to overcome that going a mile and a quarter on the first Saturday in May. Plus Q Parfait. Don't know if I said that correct. Didn't watch that video that talks about the correct pronunciation. I think Brendan Walsh did something brilliant by getting this horse into the Derby. I don't think if he chose any of the preps here in the U.S. that this horse would have been in. But what he did was he went to the UAE Derby in Dubai, no Lasix, and got the win and got the points to get in the race. Hats off to him. Sharp move. Very good training move. But now he's got to come back and face horses that he couldn't beat over here. I don't see anything that's going to get him over that hump, even going back on Lasix, for the Derby. I'm going to call him a pretender. Roadster, contender, no question about it. 4 races, all of them good. Very interesting race in the Santa Anita Derby last time. Dropped back, looked like he had no shot at all. Mike Smith said he just wasn't getting over that deeper Santa Anita surface, and whoever thought we'd be saying that deeper Santa Anita surface, but we are. Things change, and here we are. But he really kicked in late. He's inexperienced, a little bit green, but he's got plenty of raw talent. Mike Smith didn't stick with him, went to Omaha Beach, as we know. But jockeys have a history of making the wrong call in big races, especially the Derby. It's happened several times before. We've got an article about it on the site. You can check it out. But historically, being a jockey doesn't make you a great handicapper. Not that he's not, and I respect Mike's opinion tremendously. But he may have gone the wrong way. Contender for sure. Roadster for Mr. Baffert needs no introduction. By my standards, at first look, I thought this horse was a little bit interesting, and I said, maybe he is a contender, but I'm going to call him a pretender upon further review. When I really get into it, I don't think he's bred. to go a mile and a quarter. Um, I'm not thrilled with the fairground preps, and I'm going to call him a pretender, but chance he can surprise me. I don't think so, though. Maximum Security, interesting horse. This is the horse a lot of people talked about from the Jason Service Bond. Ran for 16 first time out. I guess Jason was cheating a little bit there, banking on nobody claiming him. I'm not 100% sold that they didn't know what they had. Obviously, they probably didn't know he was this good, but I think they knew they had a decent horse and just didn't think anybody would take him, and nobody did. Uh, he's got almost $750,000 in earnings, so he would have been a heck of a claim for $16,000. Um, Goes into the Derby as probably the pace setter, and I'm going to say his contender or pretender status depends on if they go after him and hit him early or not. If they leave him alone and have the mindset, and when I say they, I'm talking about the other riders. If they let Luis Saez, take this horse to the lead, as I believe Luis will do, he's very aggressive and he likes to go. If they let him do that and they all have the mindset, well, he's not good enough, maybe he's a little cheap, he's not going to get the mile and a quarter, whatever the mindset may be, I don't want to move too soon, he could slip away and become dangerous. And, speed is always scary in my opinion. So I think his pretender status depends on what the other riders do more than what Luis Saez does. So I guess we got to call him a contender because he can get the trip and be the speed and nobody goes after him. Bye-bye. You never know. If I use a couple of horses in a race, I always like to have the one that's on the lead. So keep that in mind if you're spreading. Game winner, 2-year-old champ, has a win over Churchill Downs in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile that historically hasn't been a big producing race for the Kentucky Derby. I don't worry about that nonsense. Every year is different. They couldn't win without running, as a 2-year-old since Apollo, and then Justify said, haha, no problem. So, game winner, Street Sense, there's other horses that have done it, so that doesn't concern me. Game winner, I've got to call him a contender. He did get beat twice as a 3-year-old. Omaha Beach, handled him, and Roadster handled him. The Roadster race, I think, could have gone either way. Even the Omaha Beach race could have probably gone either way. He's third off the layoff for Bob Baffert. You can be sure he's going to peak. He's got that win over Churchill Downs, and that's huge in my opinion. So I've got to call him a contender. Code of Honor, Shug's horse. Kind of an in or outer, really good race, not so good, really good. But I look at it like this: he got his points in the Fountain of Youth win. I don't think he needed to worry about getting points in the Florida Derby. That race turned out to be, maximum security on an easy lead, 48 and change to the half. The race was over. He did close into some slow fractions. He's coming off, that pattern of bad, of good, bad, do to improve. I call Shug's horse a contender. Bacala, horse that a lot of people like. His Wood Memorial convinced a lot of people when he ran third that he wasn't strictly a one-turn horse. I'm not one of those people that was convinced. I still think he is a one-turn horse. He's bred to go further for sure, but may just not be his game. Comes from way out of it. Will need some pace up front, and I don't know that he'll get enough pace, and I don't know that he's going to have the same kind of punch going a mile and a quarter that he's had going a little bit shorter distances. I'm going to call him a pretender. War of Will, trying to bounce back off the bad Louisiana Derby when he got hurt. You could see it during the race that he took some bad steps and had an issue. Last work was really good. Had a lot of talent before that. Has some speed. Can possibly bounce back. I'm going to have to call War of Will a contender. Dangerous. I have my reservations about him bouncing back off that race and being good enough to win, but he would not shock me, so I'm going to call him a contender for sure. Long Range Toddy. Like this horse a lot. I just don't think he's a Kentucky Derby winner. I think he's a cut below some of the better horses in here. It'd be nice to see John Court win it at 58 years old. Way to go. Nice to see him riding in the race. Way to go, John Court. Best of luck, but I think he's on a pretender. Tax. Interesting horse. Danny Gargan, sharp, does really, really well. He's got a horse he's claimed for 50,000 in the Kentucky Derby. That's an accomplishment in and of itself. Not even sure how many times that's happened. It's a nice accomplishment. Believe me, try claiming one for 50 in in October as a 2-year-old and getting him into the Derby on the first Saturday in May. Not an easy task. So hats off to Danny Gargan. Even though he ran second to Tacitus, who I regard highly, um, I don't think he's good enough to win. Another one that wouldn't shock me, but I'm going to call him a pretender. Don't think he's good enough to turn the tables on Tacitus. Cutting Humor, Todd Pletcher's horse. You know, if you watch the replay of that Sunland Derby, Johnny Velasquez rode this horse like he said, Todd, I'm getting you into the Derby no matter what. And he really went to work down the lane on this horse, got the job done over another Twist of Fate who's passing the Derby for the Preakness. I'm not even sure if he could have got it in anyway. It doesn't matter. He's not running. But Cutting Humor, I don't think is quite as good. Improving, but I'm not so sure he's going to improve again on the first Saturday in May because he may even bounce or regress a little bit. Win. An interesting horse. A lot of people like him. He's a closer. Irad jumped off him to go to another horse, but improbable for Bob Baffert. But I don't know. He's okay, but I'd be surprised if somebody's not better than him for the win spot. I'm going to call him a pretender. He's been beat by Bacala. He's been beat by Tacitus. Pretender. Gray Magician ran good to plus Q Parfait in Dubai, but I don't know that race was all that much, and I don't know that Parfait is all that much. So I'm going to say Gray Magician is a pretender for Peter Miller. Spinoff, Todd Pletcher's other horse. Got handled by my standards in Louisiana in the Louisiana Derby. Won by 11 at Tampa. Johnny went over there to ride him on I believe that was a weekday if memory serves correct. Was a decent 2-year-old. I don't know. I think he's the better of Pletcher's two. I think he's eligible to improve. I think he's a sneaky long shot. I don't think I'll get to him, but he won't shock me, and I'm going to call him a contender. Boat Express. He's the one that ran with Maximum Security in that merry-go-round Florida Derby. He was second all the way around. Maximum Security was first all the way around. He's still a maiden. I'm going to call him a pretender for sure. Can't see him winning on the first Saturday in May. Signalman, Ken McPeak's horse, highly regarded as a 2-year-old, has a win in 3 starts over Churchill Downs, all positives. Just hasn't shown me enough as a 3-year-old yet for me to call him a contender, so I got him labeled a pretender. Omaha Beach, the likely favorite, especially since Mike Smith chose him over Roadster. Obvious contender. What can you say? He's another one that looks really good. He does look like he can potentially bounce. I believe he moved up 4+ points in Thoroughgraph with his last win. He's got 2 of his last 3 in the slop. He did win the Rebel over a fast track. Outfought Game Winner, outfought Improbable. Nice horse, no knocks. Larry Jones loved him at the sale. Best looking horse in the sale. Mandela felt the same way. Mandela's due to get one of these races, get himself a Derby too, just like Bill Mott is. I've got to call this horse a contender for sure. Master Fencer gets in from Japan. Don't know much about him. Adds Lasix. He's a mystery horse for sure. And, I've always thought that one of these Japanese horses is going to come here one day and, sneak a win in one of these classic races. I don't think it's him. Bourbon War, interesting horse. Not sure he's going, probably not. If he does, I'm going to say that he's a contender, believe it or not. He closed into that same slow pace that Code of Honor did in the Florida Derby in the Fountain of Youth. He was on the wrong lead. He was green. He was closing to Code of Honor. He galloped out fantastic that day. The Florida Derby kind of fell apart for him from a pace standpoint. So if he winds up in the Derby with the right pace, he can be dangerous. excuse me, Instagrammed. Don't look like a 1.25 mile horse to me if he goes. Another twist of fate. I don't even think he's running. I read that he's going for the Preakness. Country House. This is a horse that a lot of people think can round out some of the gimmicks, and I tend to agree. Excuse me, need the coffee. I tend to agree. He's got a nice leg kick, especially when he's on. His race at Gulfstream when he broke his maiden was impressive. He hasn't really gone forward in a winning way since then, but the wheels haven't exactly fallen off either. He's got a lot of bottom to him for a 3-year-old at this time of year, and that may help him on the first Saturday in May. Contender. Sueno, a horse that looks to me like, the kind of horse that can maybe get a piece, probably not win. Pretender. And I said maybe get a piece. Last, but definitely not least, because he comes from Mr. Baffert, and that's Improbable. Improbable got very close to Omaha Beach, but could not go by him. Did not look that great in the stretch, or as great as you would like him to look. And I'm not sure that a City Zip is going to be the horse on Kentucky Derby Day going 1.25 miles. Just not for me. I'm going to say Improbable, even though he's trained by Bob Baffert, and it's tough to say this about any Bob Baffert horse in any race, especially the Kentucky Derby, but I'm going to say Improbable for the win, Pretender. And there you have my rundown of the Contenders and Pretenders. In the webinar, I'm going to narrow it down, make a selection or two in that race, and come up with some ticket structure and betting strategies on Derby and the late pick 4. Maybe even we'll get the Oaks in there if we have time. And thank you all for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this video from Past the Wire. And come back for more. Subscribe. Give us a shout out. Give us some love. We appreciate it. We're trying to bring a lot of stuff to everybody. And, we're trying to bring stuff that you guys and gals really, really like and appreciate. So thanks for tuning in. Love to see you all. Expect to see us back. We're going to have other people doing videos as well, myself. So a lot coming up, a lot to enjoy, a lot to look forward to. Thank you, everybody, and ciao for now.